The MCU has been bringing in so many characters after Endgame, and the majority of them are left stranded for a few years before we get to see them again. This has been one of Marvel's biggest problems for the past few years, and I am annoyed by how nothing has been done to change this. The slate for 2025 isn't the best and definitely has some useless projects that don't need to be made. Phases 4 and 5 have introduced a ton of excessive shows and characters to the point where important characters have not been seen for a few years or characters that most fans love. It's been more than 3 years since we've heard from important characters like Sam's Captain America. Shang-Chi 2 doesn't seem to be happening until 2026 at the earliest, 5 years since we've seen his introduction. It definitely doesn't look like Eternals 2 will ever be happening. Is Black Knight even going to be in the MCU? And what about Star Fox? When's the next time we're going to see Moon Knight or Kate Bishop? It's going to be 4 years since we've seen Yelena and Red Guardian on screen when Thunderbolts drops next year. The focus is extremely divided and we don't know who the core characters are or who the main Avenger members are. When Secret Wars arrives, each hero will get less and less time to shine with the addition of so many characters. Marvel has introduced useless characters that don't play a huge role in the main Secret Wars event, such as Ms. Marvel and Ironheart. Phase 5 should include movies or projects that follow up on characters from Phase 4. Looking at the slate for 2025, I see 4 projects wasting time and effort. Ironheart is a considerably new character introduced in the comics in 2016, and I don't understand why Marvel is trying to push her character out so early. She came out after the second Secret Wars reboot, which indicates she played no role in the Secret Wars storyline. Why is this character needed this early? Marvel has so many opportunities to introduce her after Secret Wars. This applies to Marvel Zombies and alternate storyline. Does the MCU really need this? The MCU has so many heroes to follow up on and they want to create stories outside the main universe. Do we need this? Wonder Man is a character I don't think needs a series at the moment. The majority of the general audience has no idea who he is. He's actually been an Avenger in the comics for a long time and he probably should have been introduced earlier on. However, since most people don't know him, why is he already starting off with his own series? Wouldn't it be better to introduce him in a Vision Quest series as a side character and see how people enjoy his character? It's like Marvel starting a series on the character Sabra from the upcoming Captain America Brave New World, which would be a stupid move because the general audience does not know who she is and hasn't seen anything from her. Eyes of Wakanda is not needed as well. The concept itself is amazing, but adding more characters is not what the MCU needs now. The MCU has to develop and write more stories for characters for audiences to connect with them. Ms. Marvel could also have been introduced later on after Secret Wars, as her character in the comics is new and her fan base isn't massive. Secret Invasion was a stupid waste of story without the Avengers. I think Echo would have been better to have some appearance in the upcoming Daredevil Born Again with a chance to have a better and darker story, then perhaps decide whether to give her a show depending on the audience enjoyment of her character. I do not care whether these shows do well or poorly for the slate in 2025, as long as the need isn't there, they shouldn't be created. With this many characters now in the MCU, I'm not expecting to see them consistently, but I want to hear news that these characters have a sequel in development down the line or a second season. For now, Marvel is just pumping out shows for characters that aren't even integral to the bigger story. Instead of these shows, Marvel could potentially work on the Vision Quest series faster. Armor Wars, what even happened to that show? Will Rhodey even get the series he deserves so much? And Black Knight needs to get some work done. Look, there's only a small portion of the fans who love Eternals. I think we should just discard the team and maybe bring them back in 2028 or 2027 with better writers. I think the Marvel movies in 2025 are a great example of creating movies that have to be created. We're finally getting a follow-up on Sam Wilson since 2021, a character who will play a huge role in the Avengers. The Fantastic Four are obviously going to have an impact on the whole of the MCU, Secret Wars, and Doomsday. They are needed. Thunderbolts is also a great follow-up on characters like Yelena, Red Guardian, and the others that should have come out earlier. These 3 movies are essential for these characters' journey and may play a role in the bigger story. This is what audiences need. Another bad reason as to why the MCU shouldn't bring in too many characters is the growing age of the actors. With plenty of new shows in development, certain characters might grow above the age range suited to play the character. Tom Holland is nearing his 30s, and I'm not sure when Spider-Man 4 is going to drop, but most likely 2026 at the earliest. He's supposed to be 17 in the MCU, I think, just starting to enter college. The young Avenger actors are nearing their 30s. They're pretty much young adults who are supposed to be playing characters below 20 or around that range. In fact, the MCU has been increasing the ages of these young Avengers so as to not make the gap between their character age too wide compared to the actors. Originally, Kate Bishop is around 20 when she joined the Young Avengers in the comics, and she's 23 in the live action before joining the Young Avengers. Cassie Lang is 18 in the MCU and maybe 19 or 20 when she joins the Young Avengers, but she's only 15 when she joins in the comics. All these excessive characters and shows are going to affect Marvel Studios down the road. One day they may look back and regret rushing out plenty of different characters. Even though I find the upcoming slate unnecessary for certain films, since Marvel has already filmed it, let's hope it will be good.